The Pilgrimage to Nowhere is a second full-length album from Age of the Wolf, a San Jose, um, Costa Rica-based sludge metal band, psychedelic doom slash sludge metal band, maybe a little bit of post metal in there too, but we'll get to that anyway. So this band formed a number of years ago, and they basically what they were doing was kicking around ideas for just general stoner metals, okay, psychedelic rock, sludge, uh, something that touched upon all their taste and all those things. And what they came up with was an all right EP, which was basically just kind of stoner heavy rock, and pretty exuberant. It has an aggressive side. There was double bass drumming. You could tell it was something different, but the songwriting wasn't that different. It was more what they were doing with it, and that developed into more of a more clear sludge metal influenced style of psychedelic doom on their debut full length. Ouroboros Trances definitely has that kind of yob style edge where it is certainly has those elements of sludge metal and doom metal and post metal psychedelic music and all that coming together into these more elaborate songs that twist and turn in interesting ways. It was a bit of a sleepy record. It was a meandering record, and as a fan of psychedelic doom metal, that was very effective for me at the time when I'd reviewed it, and I really appreciated that they touched upon some dynamic there. There was heavier sludge metal aggression. There was kind of more somber doom, and there was even some harsher vocals that sort of spoke to extreme metal in a very indirect way. So for the second record, they've sort of changed gears, and really the impetus of this was their split with Tell back in 2021. A thing that I briefly reviewed on a smaller column somewhere, where I could tell they were leaning into their sludge metal influences a little bit more. Something had changed where they were searching for something that just meant something more, that was more direct with its theme. And the theme they created on those songs for that split LP now leads directly into the sort of storyline and narrative they've created on A Pilgrimage to Nowhere, which is sort of a mythic search for meaning. It almost has like a, not necessarily cosmological, but there's sort of a pagan lore to it that is pretty interesting. So anyway, we'll get to a clip here, and then I'll talk about how what this record is. So if you're like me and you breached like really the pinnacle of what sludge metal was all about and where it would ever go, kind of hit with mid to late '90s Neurosis and maybe a little bit of early Mastodon. That was sort of like where sludge metal kind of found its finish point. Uh, this that acts as a little bit of a keystone as to how this record is arranged in a certain way. And what I mean is, when it comes to aggression, when it comes to the elaborate construction of these songs, and the way that they show up with a little bit of, some synth and some modulation in the sense of movement, which has a psychedelic feel to it. If you're a fan of like Eye of Every Storm or that certain era of Neurosis pre 2005 or so, there's certainly that touch upon this record. You can sort of feel that they're going for something which is elaborate in its presentation, amorphous in its movement, and blending together all these sort of stony, sludgy feeling and subgenre that they're interested in into this record, which is fairly dramatic and dark. It is definitely heavier and more aggressive than their past work. And I wouldn't say that it goes like full on death metal at any point. There's no black metal breaks in there. It's just an aggressive sludge metal record in a very proper way that you'll understand if you kind of got those references I was throwing out there a second ago. Uh, so they're fairly involved pieces, and the album is kind of divided into two halves that are very they speak very clearly as two different tones, and the big thing is that the production values are a bit more fine, and we get a little bit more of a focus on atonal riffs, on heavier grooves, and a little bit more of the doom metal side of the band, which sort of got lost in the movement of the previous record. So a little bit more of everything. So it's a hard thing to describe if you're not just sitting with the record, because it is just more direct, more right to the cut, while also being flowing better. There's the river that they're creating is going more places. It's moving easier, and it's getting there at a gallop rather than a walk. So uh, the full listen is pretty strong here. I am just a big fan of the band after that first record, and showing up for this one, I felt like they did an even better job on every respect. I think from the aesthetic down to the production values to the songcraft and the tightening up of the full listen, where it every song leads into the next. There's this beautiful sense of flow through the whole thing that makes it a journey that is certainly effective, but it's not taxing in the way that a lot of atmospheric sludge metal records are. So there's a feeling like they've added something new to a sort of well-worn area, and they've done so with a pretty strong theme and a narrative that is imaginative as it is just kind of cool. I don't know. It's like I don't hit upon a lot of sludge metal records that I really want to talk about and want to share with people. So this was something special, and I think most people will feel that way once you've spent time with it. Uh, but anyway, you can go listen to it now and decide for yourself. And if you want more of my point of view, probably better described in the writing, you can check out the written review.